because I had a C-section with her too. And I don't know, I just started crying out of nowhere. And he said, man, whatever it is, like, why you crying? I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just sad. And he was like, whatever this is you going through, you're going to have to go through that by yourself. Because you knew what you was getting into. Ain't nobody tell you to get off of that birth control. You did
Wait,
that on your own. I didn't make you get off of that birth control. You came to me, you decided that you wanted us to have a baby. So, like, basically, it was crazy. Like, why I'm in my feelings, because my whole life has just changed.
what's up, my people? Welcome to another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. If you've never been here before, welcome to the show. We got 3 simple goals: to educate, empower, and encourage. We are here to educate anyone who has never been in an abusive relationship, don't understand abusive relationships, why people get in abusive relationships, why you stay, you don't leave. We're going to find out today. We are here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share your story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment, because you are strong, you are powerful, and your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence, listen, you are not alone. You are not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid, and despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, there is always a way out, and we encourage you to safely seek support. Now, y'all know what it is. We got to go ahead and hop up in this thing, because we're going to rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion, the confidence way. So we about to light it up. All right, y'all. As always, I am super excited for our newest guest on the Can't Be Broken podcast. This beautiful, immaculate, amazing, gorgeous gift from God. I said what I said. I said what I said. Is known to the rest of the world as Christine. We got Christine in the building. Pew, 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 pew. Confetti, 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 confetti. Christine, what's up, sis? How you doing?
Thank you for having me. What's going on?
Child, it's our privilege. It's our pleasure. We honor you today. We just want to say from the beginning, thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your ability to endure. But not only that, to stand up on your platform and share your story without shame, without fear, without guilt, without judgment, not only for your own healing journey, but also for anyone who's going to come across this episode who needs to hear it or needs to share it with someone who needs to hear it. I know that every story is different, every story is unique, and every story has a purpose beyond what we've been through. And so we just want to say thank you for this time that you're going to spend with us today and all of the lessons that you've learned that you're going to share with us. That's what I got. And don't be judging my pum 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 list. I ain't got a soundboard
Oh, of
yet.
course not.
I
You gotta add the sound effect.
ain't got a soundboard yet, but we gonna get there.
You
We are
gotta add
gonna
the
get
sound effect.
there. Girl, so as I always start, usually I with my situation, I was never around any form of abuse that I was aware or familiar of. Not saying that it wasn't there, because generational curses, generational trauma is often hidden and not discussed, which is why I feel like this platform is so important, because if we continue to allow our daughters to be kept in the dark about what we've experienced or our ancestors have experienced, we're not going to be able to break the cycle. So
Right.
I don't know that I saw anything or anything was in my family, but I'm not saying that there wasn't anything there. But for you, prior to getting in any kind of a relationship that was abusive, had you, or do you recall remembering seeing anything growing up in your family, maybe at school or at church or anything like that that you're aware of?
As far as like domestic abuse,
Yeah, or just emotional or verbal abuse or anything of that nature.
um, I think I learned when I got older that different things were abuse. Like, being born in 1985, being a millennial, being raised by boomer parents and stuff. It was a different time. So a lot of things that happened back then and how child rearing was is different than now. Parents was not concerned about your emotions. They did not care nothing about how you felt. There wasn't a lot of, children we're still in that era of kids being seen and not heard, maybe until the 90s. And for some families it might have went on a little bit past that, depending on the age of your parents, because that's what they were brought up in. um my mother was born in 1950, so she was came up in a time where you was seen and not heard. You did what you was told. They whoop tail, ask questions later. So I grew up in that same type of situation. So I learned later that could be, a source of abuse or neglect or whatever, but we didn't know any better. you know um so I've definitely had to look back at times that I got in trouble for things as a kid, and I didn't really have a voice to say how I felt about things. I remember we went to church a lot. Grew up in church, raised in church. We were apostolic, Kojic, Pentecostal, every type of holiness church you could think about, we've been. And so that means we went to church all the time. Sunday, Friday, revivals, choir practice, Bible study, everything you think about. Every other day we was in church. And so it was like you couldn't play certain music in the house. You couldn't um, go to different places. It was a lot of places that kids my age were able to go and able to do and enjoy, that I had to lie to do it, or I had to go over that certain cousin house and my auntie was gonna let us go and try to talk my mama into it. And then when she find out, now I'm in trouble, you know, because I wasn't supposed to do whatever that was. And not having a voice, like I kept trying to have one, so I would write her letters. I've always been, ever since I could pick up a pen, I've always been somewhat of a writer. Well, I ain't gonna even say somewhat, I am a writer. But I would write her a letter, just, telling her how I felt about things, because it was always seen as, if you said anything, even if you said it in the meekest way, you talking back. So the only way for me to make sure that I could be heard, or feel somewhat understood, was I'll write my mother a letter telling her how I felt or whatever. And sometimes she might come to me and say something about the letter, but other times not so much. So, I went through those times of, you know, um, leaving home, uh, like I'm gonna run away from home, or not necessarily I'm gonna run away from home, but I need to get out of here type of feeling. So I would leave and maybe walk, to the store, or leave and walk to, in Rockford, we live by Rockford Memorial Hospital. So I would leave and walk around the whole like hospital campus. And that could maybe be like maybe a mile radius, walking around that property just to like clear my head, or to forget anything that might have just happened, or what I felt like was an injustice at whatever age that I was. Um, and that was also at a different time when your kids could leave the house and go walk and you didn't, worry too much. So maybe I might have been like 10, when I started, just I gotta leave, just leave the house, go out the back door, whatever. So I would say that would be the first like abuse, and having that type of silencing of your voice, and having to have like workarounds for how you can be heard. Definitely translated into adulthood. When I became a woman, it became hard for me to speak up about what I wanted and what I needed, because it was so used to not having space to do that. And then believing that who gonna listen, who gonna care. So it took till I was, I don't know, maybe in my 30s, late 30s, before I grasped that like I got to care. never mind who don't care. And if they don't care, they don't deserve to be in my life. Like it took a while to get there. So the in between the 10-year-old Christine to the 40-year-old Christine is a lot of trying to be heard, trying to find your voice and be valued for that. Maybe of course everybody got a whooping, you know. Uh and I don't know if that's kind of in the air, like is that abuse, is it not, I definitely had my times where, I would express, well, it didn't happen that many times, but I expressed that I didn't want to go to church all the time. And I remember getting a backhand lick in the car at 17. Okay.
Hold on, wait. It's a lot. Hold on. Okay, before we get to the 17 in the car thing, I do want to just piggyback off of everything you just said, which is so true because, and it might just, I don't know if it's the Black household or if it's cultural households in general, but so many things are passed down. And I have young kids right now, and I'm working on finding a balance of how to discipline them without hitting them
Mhm.
and giving them space. They're 4 and 5, and I find myself telling my son I don't want to hear it, and I got to stop doing that because he has emotions, and I need to be able to manage my emotions as the adult to give him space to share, so that when he gets older he can share, right? But
Yeah.
I often wonder, like with the whoopings and everything that we see as discipline, yes, the Bible says spare the rod, spoil the child, but is that a metaphor or is that physical? And does the whoopings that in a Black household that we get with lashings and belts and tree branches and cords, is that a generational thing that came back from slavery? Like prior to slavery, how were Africans being disciplined, or how are they disciplining their kids? Is what I'm curious and I need to do research on. But anytime I hear things like whoopings, it's like, did we do that before slavery, or is that what we saw and then we implemented into our, and now it's just a generational thing that we carry on because that's all we know? Likewise, be seen not heard is all you knew as our parents and our parents, and so yeah, it travels down the line, but at some point, when are we going to consider how we felt in the moment of being on the receiving end of that and change the narrative? I just want to say that really quick. But to
Yeah.
this backhand in the car, do you feel like, if you can remember, because you remember this happening, do you feel like when you said it, you were saying it from a place of blatant disrespect or emotional, or was it a place of, I just want to see if I can express myself here and it be okay?
It definitely wasn't a place of blatant disrespect. I knew better than to do that. It was me just speaking. I was just talking. And there was to take a step back a little bit. When I was 12, no, no. Wait, I wasn't 12 yet. Um, she's 8 years older than me. When I was about 8 or 9, my niece came to stay. Um, my sister, she's deceased now, but she was on drugs and she had left my niece like by herself. She was a baby. And so, of course, when people came, police and whatever, child services, my sister said, give the baby to my mother, which was my mother, my niece's grandmother. So I was living with my grandmother like half the time because my mom was working on her bachelor's and she was a nurse and going to work a lot. So I didn't always live at home. I lived like halfway at home, halfway at my grandmother's because I went to school for my grandmother's because she was there to be able to be there. My mom schedule was off the chain. So um things had to start to kind of even out when she got custody of my niece, and she let me come back home to stay and live, and I didn't go back to live with my grandmother once I hit like 12. To this day, I really believe that part of that is because I was then at the age where I could watch her legally. You know what I'm saying? And help out. So, but still, I was still a child. So a lot of my childhood was taken because I was raising another child or helping to raise another child. And you learn that as a family, like, this is what families do, help each other, whatever. But as I grew up, I learned that that was out of place. I wasn't an adult to be able to make that decision. That was something that was forced upon me. um a lot of time we look at forcing someone to do something, we think about rape, we think about you know any sort of assault or domestic abuse, like hitting them. But forcing somebody to do something, that could also be as much as taking they right to choose away, or you're not able to go to this or this that's for your age bracket because you got to watch your younger sibling, or because you got to watch your niece or your nephew, and you a child yourself, so you don't get a chance to live like you should, you know. And then on top of that, you got the church thing. So it's like it's double fold, well, you can't do that anyway. You can't go to the dance anyway, because it's so it's like it was twofold. A lot of can't do type of stuff. So by the time I was 17, I don't think that whatever that I was saying was out of disrespect or anything. I think I was just tired. I was really tired, and I was almost grown, and I felt like I should be able to have a voice now. I should be able to say what I want and what I feel now. And I'm really tired of having all the time, and I was expressing that. And she didn't like that, you know. Um, so, and I don't remember every single, detailed play by play of that day, but that's pretty much what was going on. But I definitely experienced like sexual abuse at a young age, living with my grandmother. My uncle was there. You know what I'm saying? He
Wait, because you about to get into a whole nother thing, and I gotta stop you for a second before we get into your living situation with your grandmother and what's about to happen there. Do you remember how you felt when you had the courage at 17 to say, I should be able to have a voice and respectfully be able to have, it's not even about having a, it's about having a voice, but can we not have a conversation with our mothers? Can we should have a space to have this conversation. So you feel like you should be able to have a conversation. You get the backhand. Do you remember how that impacted you moving forward? Like, were you like, well, I tried one time and this is the result? Did it completely shut you down? And how did it change your perspective of your mom when that happened?
my perspective of her remained the same.
Hmm.
Because that's who she had been,
Hmm.
stifling, um, my way or the highway. Um, so it just reinforced who I knew she always was. Um, and it just made me, being 17, about to be grown, it made me want to grow up.
Mm.
It made me want to be able to do whatever I needed to do to be able to live on my own.
Mm.
It made me um like it propelled me,
Hmm.
right? So I didn't waste no time. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna graduate and then I'm gonna just like lollygag at home and then I'm gonna think about college or whatever. And woo woo. No, like, it made me want to push forward and be grown.
Yeah.
So, um, I ended up, I had my son at 19. So I I got pregnant while I was still technically in high school. I would have finished in '03, but I was missing like a PE credit or something. It was real stupid. Um, I blame the public school. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like,
Because you ain't keeping up. Like you got one job. I mean, I get it's a lot of students,
but yeah,
but
like
as your guidance
you
counselor,
wait to the end of my senior year to let me know I'm missing a PE credit. Like what?
right?
And I was in gifted classes and everything like my first few years of high school.
Advanced
So
placement.
it's like I passed all these other classes, but I'm not. No, it wasn't even AP. It was honors, then there's AP, and then there's the gifted program.
Okay. Okay.
Gifted program is like your work is like college level,
Okay.
right? I was one of those kids that when we had in Texas it's called STAR test, in Illinois it's called IMAP testing. I was one of those kids that always got masters. Like you got, the people that almost meets and then masters. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
teacher, so I'm probably talking in teacher speak right now a
Come
little,
on, teacher. Come on.
but I was those kids that always is masters.
Yeah.
I've mastered everything. Learned very quickly, grasped things like a sponge. It wasn't a lot that, a lot of things came easily to me. I got skipped from first grade to second grade because I already knew how to read. My first grade teacher came to our house to tell my mom she don't need to be in my class because she know everything I'm trying to teach her. So on and so forth. So I was always like super smart. And like this is not like me bragging or anything like that. Like this is like there's numbers behind this, there's data
Right.
behind this, right?
Hey, but
So
listen.
yeah,
Data included. You, baby, you earned the right to brag on yourself.
listen,
Let's take a moment here because we, especially as women, are constantly. I agree with humility. I
yeah.
fully believe in humility, but it's almost, and as Black women, no shade to any other race, it's almost like you, how dare you have the audacity to be proud of your accomplishments and then voice your accomplishments without having to apologize. So
Woo,
on this here show, baby,
okay,
we ain't apologizing for no
okay.
accomplishments that we have had
Well, all right.
up to these 40
I
years now. Now go on,
well
say what you
well
got to say.
as we stand now, I have a MBA, teacher certificate, and a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
I just got my MBA, and it took me about 6 months
come on now.
to go through the MBA program. So with that being said, like I did all those things. Um, I was supposed to graduate in '03, but I think I sprained my ankle or something like that. So of course you can't go to PE for summer school if you just sprained your ankle.
Stop
So,
playing.
you know,
Stop
and so
playing.
then the next year, so I ended up by the next year I was pregnant. So I couldn't take the normal PE class, so they put me in a child development class, basically like teaching you about a baby, which I already knew because I took care of my niece. So
Hold on. Time out. Does this child development class take the place of the credit for the PE class?
yeah, yeah,
So let me get this straight. They didn't let you finish summer school with a sprained ankle when they could have given you the child development class to replace the
back
PE credit.
then, yeah.
But then you get pregnant and they're like, well, here you can.
Well, the thing is, I had a sprained ankle. I couldn't make it to the school, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't make the school was like
Okay.
literally down the street. I didn't have a car like where. Well, I had a car, but it was like a piece of trash. So no, if I couldn't drive, I would have to take the bus. With my ankles being sprained, so I sprained both my ankles. I had fell down some stairs
Oh my gosh.
excuse me, sprained both my ankles, and so I couldn't drive,
Hmm.
on crutches and stuff for a little bit. And so just being on crutches for that week or whatever, it wasn't enough time, right? You had to be in the class a certain amount of time. So that's why I didn't,
Okay.
So then, so I graduated in 2004, walked across the stage with my son in my stomach. I was 19 when I had him in '04, at the end of '04 in December. And I was already I had already enrolled in college. So I was a college and high school student at the same time, because once you hit 18, you can take the test to the entrance exam to get into college. And so I was already taking college courses. So anyway, I ended up, you know, going to school and everything. I got a apartment through this thing called the Mill program that was for young single moms or whatever. And I moved out like early. I only moved back in with my parents because my mom and dad had got remarried when I was like 19. Well, no, they got remarried when I was like maybe 18.
To each other or to two separate people?
To each other. They
So,
they they were married when, like, for some years before I even was thought of, and then they were separated when I was born. And they were separated for some years until I was like, I don't know. I think they got divorced when I was little. I don't remember exactly the year. And then they was apart, divorced for some years. And then maybe 10 plus years later, when I was like 18, they got remarried
so
to each
growing
other.
up, you were living with your mom and your grandma. Was your dad around? Like, did you have a relationship
He was
still with your
always
dad?
he was always around. He never was just not around. Either he was staying with my grandmother, or sometimes he would stay with us. Like, he would live in the basement and stuff, because in Illinois you have basements. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he would stay in the basement or a spare room, because my dad was not stable. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? My mom was always, the hard worker, a nurse, whatever, and my dad would be in and out of the streets on drugs, stuff like that. He was on heroin. So, but my dad was always very present. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like, my daddy was come get me off of the bus, at my grandmother's house. I remember getting in trouble on the bus when I was like 6, told the bus driver some, kiss my ass or something.
Oh,
And my daddy came and got me off the bus, and the bus driver told him what happened, and he made me write kiss my ass 250 times. And I didn't say those words till I was 30 something. I didn't tell nobody kiss nothing till I was years later. So my dad was always very, very present. He was always around. I remember being a little girl. This is back in the day when you could walk the streets and it wasn't crazy now.
right.
And I remember going to a strip club with my daddy.
Blessed
We was
assurance.
downtown Rockford, and I didn't go in
Uh-huh.
through the window, but my dad, I think his dealer probably was in there, and it was at night. I went with my dad, because sometimes he would, if he didn't live with my grandmother or didn't live with my mom, he would like have a like rent a room somewhere or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and it's for a while there, he had his own apartment in a high rise downtown. Um, through like township housing, like something like basically like housing authority
Yeah.
something. And so my mom never was the type of mom to withhold me from seeing my dad. Never.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what was going on. If he wanted to come get her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anytime. So my dad would maybe come get me, and we would walk to the stove because my dad didn't have no car. We'd get on the bus, whatever. And he'd take me to get, candy, snacks, whatever I wanted, you know what I'm saying? Because back then you could get all kind of stuff for $1, $2,
Right.
whatever. So, we go, get snacks or whatever, and we walk downtown, and he was going, I'm pretty like, what else is you going to do but get drugs? Like, what else? But he went in the strip club and he said, stand right here outside at the door. And I didn't move. And he went in and came out, and we continued on our way. I never forget that. I just don't remember how old I was. I don't remember how old, but I remember that happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I know what the strip club looked like? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I think it was called the Hideaway or something like that. Anyway,
Okay.
um, long, 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 long time ago. But so I always had both of my parents. When I got pregnant with my son and had got that place through the mail program, it was a apartment that was upstairs. It was an upper. So when I got close to having my son, my dad was like, "You gotta come home,
Mm-hmm.
book him head." That was my name. You book him head. You gotta come home because I ain't finna have you walking up down these stairs with my grandson and stuff like that. So I moved back home, even though I still had my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, took care of me at my mom's house. My parents both, took care of me. But my dad was like stay-at-home dad because he didn't have no job. He was on methadone, you know what I'm saying? And my mom was
So
going to work.
when they remarried, was he still on drugs or had he gotten cleaned up?
Absolutely not. He was on methadone.
And your mom still remarried him?
Yes. My daddy used to smoke weed with us. Like,
Did you ever have a conversation with your mom like, "Mom, why did y'all get married again?" And he was on
yeah.
drugs.
Yeah, I had a conversation with her. She said God told her to remarry him. She said within herself, she told him, I wouldn't remarry you if you was the last man on earth. But she said, God, I prayed about it, and God told me to accept his proposal again, and I remarried him. Because they were still friends
Right.
all in years. They had been I want to say he was living with us when they got remarried. I want to say he was already there. My mom and dad, when they got remarried, they never stayed in the same room, right? He still had his room in the basement. My mom house, she just sold this house, matter of fact, because she just moved to Mississippi. But her basement of the house was basically like the length of the house, right? So it's like a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother apartment under there.
Right.
And so, he had all this things there, whatever. And so when they got remarried, it was kind of like, well, you already here, kind of like a couple that's already living together and then they get
Mm-hmm.
married,
Mm-hmm.
except for they didn't sleep in the same room. The only time they would sleep in the same room is if it was for you know what.
Mm-hmm.
And we would come home and they both be upstairs in robes and it'd be gross. We'd be like, what's going on? Oh, I see what's going on here. And then we leave.
He said, "Oh,
Because I know why y'all both up here together
right."
looking sweaty with robes on.
It's too
Yeah, no.
obvious.
Yeah. Because you always downstairs watching
Sweaty.
TV.
Sweaty with rose.
You know how your mom look flustered? Like, why you look flustered, mama? Why you
Like
look
they the
flustered?
kids that got caught.
Thank you. So exactly. Precisely. That was
Oh
the
gosh.
thing. But I never experienced seeing anything like that before they got remarried. My mom was a devout Christian. People be like, you sure your mom and dad ain't been like dealing with each other? I said, nah. I said, I don't think so. They was,
Mm-hmm.
they were friends.
Wow.
They remained friends between everything. Um, so I don't know, it was odd. But they got remarried. I came home, still kept my apartment when after I had my son and everything and recovered because I had a C-section or whatever. So they wanted to make sure I was straight for my 6 weeks
Mm-hmm.
or 8 weeks. I took plenty of time to recover. And then I went back to my apartment. Um, my then my dad died when my son was like 2.
Mm.
So they wasn't remarried that long, and then my dad passed away. So it was hard, to go through that, but you know, I had him all my life. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I didn't have my daddy all my life, and then all of a sudden him and my mama get married, and then now he gone. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So is that I don't know if that should have made it easier or whatever.
Mm-mm.
But it was still hard. I probably was maybe maybe about 30, 37, 38 before I could talk about my dad without crying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we were close, um, so but as far as like my dad, verbal abuse, oh yeah, I would cuss him out, he would cuss me out.
When did this
uh
start happening? Like, how old were you?
when I was like, when you get flip at the lip and you about 16 or so, and it was more so like I watched my mom be a nurse and do this and do that. What have you done?
Right.
What have you done for me lately? Type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
as far as financially. So I felt like him trying to be, tell me what to do. I'm like, you ain't tell me what to do. You don't need to pay no bills. My mama paid for this. You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's why I said when I said what I said to my mom, I know it didn't come from a place of disrespect because I
Right.
fully respected her
Yeah.
for what she represented and what she did and what she stood for. She took care of shit. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? With my dad, I felt like it was warranted to disrespect him because
Mm.
you a crackhead, or well, I mean, not a crackhead, but he was a blowhead. You know what I'm saying? Like in the plainest of terms. I later learned that you're supposed to respect both or whatever. But yeah, so I would say I didn't experience any like abuse like that from them in that respect. Um, Again, the seen and not heard, and you might could get popped in the mouth. My mom was very big on the biblical whooping where you get in trouble and then she give you a scripture and stuff. Lay across that bed and you gonna get these few licks and get on up. Like that's what it was. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I remember my lip getting busted, but she didn't bust my lip. I was running from a whooping, and I
Bless
ran
you.
into the bedpost.
Bless you.
Okay, so nobody was just,
Yeah.
I think as Black people, we when we think about abuse, we think about something we done seen on a Lifetime movie on TV,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I ain't go through that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of yeah,
Which is another reason why it's important that we have these conversations. I had a guest on the show a while back, and no, I was talking to someone who was considering being a guest on the show. She was still married though, and she was wanted to get out of the relationship. And she's like, and I could like I felt the energy through our conversation, and we were just in each other's DMs. I felt the energy through our conversation that she was experiencing something that was familiar with. So I knew that it was only going to get worse for her. And now I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just saying this don't sound healthy, you know? And she's
right,
like, well, he's never abused me. He's never beat me, et cetera, et cetera. He's put his hand around my neck before and all of this. And we dismiss that because you don't have a bruise, you don't have a cut, you don't have a busted, broken anything, that's not abuse when it is.
it
Because
is
I learned after I left that a man, I guess in a woman too, but a man who either strangles you or puts their hand on their neck, they have like a 300 to 600% greater chance of actually killing you because in their brain they've already disconnected your life because it's your life source. And if I
right.
have the audacity to put my hand there to threaten you to cut it off, I have somewhere in my brain the concept that it's okay for me to do this. And
Yeah,
so to piggyback off what you just said, whether it be growing up in a Black household or just in general with what we have seen as discipline, we compare it to the extreme and call it not abusive.
mm-hmm.
But if you there's no reason for you to hit me upside my mouth or my head with your hands or anything else and that be okay because that's your form of discipline. Like I like what your dad did. You want to say it, go and write it out. You like to write anyway. Go and write this out until you get tired of writing it so you don't say it again. Like there, I think, better alternative ways of disciplining children than to result to putting your hands on them. Because how many times we telling kids not to hit people, and then here we go, you hit somebody, now I'm going to hit you for hitting somebody. but I
Right.
expect you as a child to disconnect this and call it a whooping versus what you're doing, you know? And
Right.
so I just think it's important that for whoever's listening, and I don't know what situation they're in as a child or what they've been through as a child or as an adult, just because it's not as bad as it could be, or it's not as bad as what you see on a Lifetime movie, doesn't say that it's not abusive, doesn't say that it's not toxic, doesn't say it's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's important that we know abuse comes in a variety of, like, multi-flavor pack of abuse. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to understand, and we have to be sensitive and tender to the fact that just because it happened to us doesn't make it right,
Mm-hmm.
or just because it wasn't as bad as something else doesn't make it right.
I feel that. I feel that 100%.
So before we got into your living situation, your dad, your son, you were about to dive into what happened to you while you were living with your grandmother.
Okay. So, when I was living with my grandmother, I have an uncle. He's now deceased. And I don't exactly remember how old I was, but I do remember that he touched me. There was no like penetration, but I do remember that. Um, how often, how many times or whatever, I don't know. And that could be, that things that like maybe you suppress.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it happened. I know I was introduced to that at an early age.
Do you believe it was more than once?
I believe that it had happened more than once. I do because I lived there for a long time and so did he. And
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see that something like that only happened once. Because normally those things happen multiple times.
Right.
Over the course of, years or whatever. So the fact that I remember it at all, it had to happen more than once. Um, but I mean, I don't know. Like he was known to have done that to other people.
In the family?
Yes.
How
My
did you hear?
my aunts and people that, hearing people talk. My sister that passed away, whose niece I helped raise, she had been touched by him when she was younger. I don't know exactly how old she was. Like if she was, small or, you know, puberty, whatever. I don't remember details of that. But I do remember learning that it happened to her also.
Did
Um,
she tell you this, or was it your aunts telling you?
she told me that, and also like hearing aunts and people talk about it.
Hold on a second.
Right. These are things that like, and to tell you a little bit about this uncle, he was um mentally mentally handicapped is what it would have been called back then. Um,
Uh-huh.
now looking back, he probably was autistic or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had went on to have not went on to have a normal life or whatever, but at some point when he was younger, um, he had a woman, he had kids. I got four cousins. No, I have more than four cousins. He had four kids back in like the 70s with his wife, this white woman. So I got four because there was two sets of twins. um, so one set of twins weren't real hard in my dad's side, right? So one set of twins is boy and boy, the other set is boy and girl. Um then later on he had a daughter with another lady. So it's five kids that I know about. So for you, but the white lady, I don't know if she's all there. And the second woman, she's black. I know she ain't all there. Um, Everybody missing a few crayons out the box. Okay, so
I was trying to hold it in.
so
I was trying to hold it in. You done brought in Crayola.
so I mean, but I mean, you laugh to keep from crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I mean, people have told me like, you sure you don't do stand up? No, I don't. Person, but you just find the humor in things that you can't do shit about because
Man,
what
listen.
can you do? But yeah, that then I mean, nah,
So
they
you mean to tell me
I
your
don't.
family knew
Yeah,
he was doing this and they still allow young girls around him? Even if he's missing crayons. Okay, let's just say that he got half a box, which means he's really dependent on other people for helping him navigate through a quote unquote normal life.
was and did was is yep.
What other adult is not going to be the adult here and say that we are aware of this, we see it's a problem, let's just make sure, since we can't do anything about him, or we're not going to do anything about him, let's make sure we protect the rest of our family, our daughters, our nieces, our granddaughters, and just not bring them around, like not allow them to be in any capacity alone with him.
Because that would be too much like right. Girls, girls did not have no voice like that. You know what I'm saying? Girls or no, children did not have no voice like that.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And it trickled down further when you talk about female children. You know what I'm saying? Nobody believes you. You know what I'm
But
saying?
they knew it was like they did though.
They knew it was always like, okay, that's why I said I don't know with my sister exactly how old she was, but I remember my hearing that my grandmother said, and I made a post recently on Threads about stop calling black girls fast. Because I've never heard it attributed to any other ethnicity but us.
Mm.
The minute we start getting some boobs in a butt or anything, or get tall, get anything, oh, she thinks she fat, she this. When this is a physiological change that is happening, a person is going to be curious about themselves and the opposite sex and whatever. This is the time for you to be talking to them. This is the time for you to be making sure that they understand who they are and their sexuality and things like that. But because there was so much lack of education on this, it was just, oh, you being fast. And so I was told that, let's say my uncle had a room or he was in the basement or something like that. And my sister, the story was that she went in the room or she went to the basement. So basically, this happened, making it like it's her fault. You knew he was down there and you was being fast, and that's how that happened to you. It wasn't those words verbatim, but that's pretty much, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So how that come, you know what I'm saying? So that's why
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure how old she was when the people were talking about, that happening. But who knows, even if, let's say, she went down there and this was she going down there for, you gotta have been groomed by this person as a young girl for you to
Yeah.
go down there to get touched or for anything
Yes.
to happen. But nobody's thinking about this. Again, is always the fault of the girl. It's always the fault of you put yourself in this situation. Just like how now if a woman is grown and she get listen, not to go to because I don't
Get
want
where you got to get to and say what you got to say.
my sister that I'm referring to, rest her soul, was a product of rape. My mother went on a date. Man invites her into his home, rapes her. She get pregnant with my sister. She had my sister. Didn't wasn't no abortion, wasn't no getting rid of no baby. They had abortions back then, but it was different than what we have now. Wasn't gonna, do that. Some people might say, and she might have felt that it was her fault because I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And me as a grown woman, it's funny. I went to and I'll never do this again because of what we're talking about. I went on a date with a guy and we had a great time, whatever, woo, blah blah blah. And I wanted to see his place, right? How you living, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, I got something to drink or whatever. I got snacks and stuff. And we were talking about, I think he had the Girl Scout cookies or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna watch TV, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And get over there. And long story short, he thought that was like we gonna do something.
Right.
And when I was like, no, he basically told me, well, I need to go home because, like what you over here for type of thing. And I told a male friend about the situation. And actually he's my ex, but we're still, friends or whatever. And he was like, did he try anything? Like, did more happen? Because I go over there, and I'm
right.
nah, you know what I'm saying? I got up out of there, whatever. It was like the guy it was like a big parking lot. The apartment complexes out here is huge. So we had to drive over to where his building was at. So he drove me back to where visitor parking was at so I could get back in my truck and I left. Um and I said, and he was like, well, he was like, I know like this gonna sound crazy. He was like, but you can't go to nobody's house unless you know that that's what's gonna happen because that's automatically what they gonna think is supposed to happen. And you know, quiet as kept, if something happens to you, somebody gonna look at it like, well, you put yourself in that position.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so I don't no, I'm cool. You don't need to come over here. I won't go over there. We going and go home or whatever because you know I can about count on one hand a time that I done been in a situation like that with a guy and then nothing happened.
Right.
And they didn't expect anything to happen, and turn over, went to sleep, and we, talked or whatever. That's so rare. Because it's just, this is what you expect us to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like if it's if it's deeper, like a child born out of rape, you born, you live your life, woo, and then you end up being a victim of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that works, but I just know that it transpired. I know that family knew. I know that people didn't protect girls.
And they still don't.
I was just gonna say, and they still don't. It's up to us to protect ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's up to us to protect ourselves.
It's so disappointing because family is family. One, two, so many instances happen and the adults have either experienced it themselves and try to forget that they remember how it felt to experience it and then turn a blind eye to it, as opposed to, like, this is your prime opportunity to set your shame and embarrassment aside and have this conversation with your niece or your daughter or your granddaughter and say, this is not your fault. I felt the same way. Like, if something happens and it's similar to something that happened to someone in the past, why are we not having this conversation? Why are we then doing the exact same thing to the next generation that was done to us when something happened that wasn't our fault?
Yeah.
But then we want to turn around and, with, like you said, so many words or the lack thereof, make sure you feel like this is your fault. And as you're telling me this story, I'm sitting here asking myself, I wonder if her sister got on drugs after that.
She did. She did. She was on crack for maybe from her late teens, definitely early 20s. I think she got on when she was like 18, 19. Um from what I was told. I know by her 20s she was on it. Um and my sister was in her 50s, or yeah, early. Did she hit 50? No, I don't think Didi made 50. If she did, she had just made like, nah, because she died in 2016. If she was still alive, she would be 56. So no, she was in her mid 40s when she died. Um, but she they said she OD'd. But then I heard later like that you can't OD on crack, but I don't know how true that is. She had other health issues as well, so I could imagine like what that does to your heart and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, she definitely struggled with drugs, for a long time, you know what I'm saying? In and out of like she went to prison, for a period of time. You know, so, she got out and she was working and got married and was, doing, great. And then, but the person she got married to was a previous, addict like she was. And they met in like a halfway house situation. And they both end up going back to the drugs and destroyed each other. And, the cycle of, all that. And then by the time she divorced him, like, she was already, she kind of, as she got older, she was kind of cleaning up a little bit. And she wasn't using as much as she maybe used to. So I think that, like, you know, you have a really hard life when you're on those types of drugs. And it deteriorates your body at such a rapid pace. You know, my sister had a cane and all kinds of, she's only 40 something years old,
Gosh.
that many years older than I am. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I people be like, you 40? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And she looked every day of 50 something or 60 something, you know what I'm saying?
Gosh.
It, it tears your body down. She was always heavy set. She kind of went up and down with that, but who knows what all the health issues were um that made her succumb to whatever that, took her from us. But I'm pretty sure that she always lived with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, trying to suppress that, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with her having it either be continued or begin happening, which I still firmly believe that it's something that was continued. If this was happening when she was like 12, 13, what,
Yeah.
like it had been happening. And so, and she ended up abusing someone else, different thing. I feel like that maybe she lived with that. You know what I'm saying? She carried that, and then you trying to use the drugs to suppress that,
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely saw some things. And this is someone coming from a household where my mother got her bachelor's, her BSN when she was 40.
Hmm.
Prior to that, had been already been a nurse for the longest. My brothers were in college. They both, have master's degrees as well. My older sisters, had was a cosmetologist, Dee Dee actually was a cosmetologist too. Um, Before she passed, she was a CNA as well. Um, a lot of my family is military. For the most part, my family did okay, did pretty well. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So it's like even though that everybody worked, it wasn't like, we just, lived in squalor or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff still happened. So I can just imagine how people feel that don't have any family that elevated above anything, but
Yeah.
so but
How
yeah,
different could her life have been
and oh
if a
man,
conversation was had? A
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah. That's the
A
con
conversation. Like, if we just sat down and talked,
yeah,
she could literally still be here.
yeah. It's a great possibility. Yeah.
But instead, she knew she was a victim of rape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you already got that burden. I can't imagine how she felt. Did she feel worthless? Did she feel less than? Did she feel undeserving? You already got that burden that you're carrying with you. Then your uncle molests you, is grooming you, molests you. Your family knows.
Well, my mom was the one that's the victim of rape. Uh,
Your mom. I thought your sister was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought your sister,
so
not the victim, was the product.
so yeah, my sister was the product of rape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I misspoke.
I don't know if she knew that she was a product of rape. Like I don't know if
Mm,
my mom told her that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she learned that when she got older.
yeah.
Um, but like if did she know that when she was young? I don't
You
know.
don't know.
You know
Got you.
what I'm saying? But I get
Got
what
you.
you're saying, like if she did know, that could be crazy. But she might have because again, my sister never knew who her dad was.
Yeah.
Because it ain't like this dude stuck around.
Right.
Then um her dad that she knew was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And now him and my mom had an abusive relationship, physically abusive, when they first was married. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
you remember this?
No, I wasn't even thought of when this was happening.
Okay. 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 That's right. Because you were born, like, they divorced. I got you.
My siblings are my oldest sibling 17 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? I have a niece that's older than me, like
This
6 years
is
older than
what.
me. So when I was like a baby, my brothers was grown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was married and went on and had kids. Like I said, my niece is 6 months older than me. So this was happening back when they lived in the projects when they first
Mm-hmm.
moved to Illinois from St. Louis. Um, and and then they ended up splitting up.
Yeah.
Separated, but she was still, of course, sleeping with him because he was her husband, and that's how I came along.
Mm-hmm.
I was the last of the Mohicans. My sister that's next in age to me is a whole 9 years older than me.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? And then everyone else is even older than that,
So
right?
she potentially witnessed their abusive relationship.
I think I I think she might have my sister that's next in age to me might have
Mm-hmm.
definitely the older ones like Dee,
Mm-hmm.
my older sibling. Oh yeah, they saw all that, right? They grew up with that, and it's crazy. Like I know it's also too like, of course, by the time I came along, After a while, it was just me and my mom because I was the
Yeah.
best. You know what I'm saying? But they were like stair step kids, so
Yeah.
their relationship was closer.
Mm-hmm.
They all grew up together. They all in if Dee Dee was still alive, she would be in her 50s with them. Um, and my sister was the baby forever until I came along. You know what I'm saying? My sister
Right.
that's next to me. I don't think that my sister that's next in age to me, she's just turned I'm 40, she would just turn 40, 49.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think she even saw any of that because
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? But then again, I don't know. I had to ask her, like, did she remember? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
because by the time she would have been old enough to get to remember and stuff, my mom and dad was like, he was kind of gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as far as not in a relationship with her anymore, they were just still married on paper and still dealing with each other from time to time. Um, and he would still, periodically come around.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't come around a lot from what my mom said when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
He would do the come around, see the baby, pick the baby up for a minute and then leave. Sometime he might say he gonna come and not come. He do stuff like that. And
Yeah.
when I got a little older is when I start consistently seeing my dad. You know
Gotcha.
what I'm but that's the as far back as I remember. I don't remember being 1 years old and he not coming over and him coming picking me up and then putting me.
Yeah.
I remember that. I know my mama told me about it, you know what I'm saying? Um, but I mean that I think that all of those experiences ended up, of course, shaping how I moved later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward to, me having my own children, me being in relationship with their fathers and stuff and the things that I accepted sometimes and allowed sometimes because you want to be loved, because you want to um I don't know, you because you want somebody to want you. Uh
Companionship.
yeah, you know, I don't know. But I never was and I know that this is about like abuse, like narcissistic abuse and domestic violence and stuff like that. Um I've never been in a situation where I was like domestically abused.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a family that it's a lot of men. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I have two big brothers that's like 6'4" and 6'6". And whether they own that or not, the dudes I would talk to didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I could tell you my brothers is anybody. I could tell you my brothers is killers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Show you a picture of these black men that look like Shaq, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And my oldest brother, people say he favor Michael Jordan, just a smaller version. Things would be like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times men like to target women that they think don't have no protection.
Correct.
So um and then I got a bunch of like uncles and cousins and stuff like that, or whatever. My family was, known in Rockford that, um, so and then my one of my cousins was married to a bigger family, because
Mm-hmm.
it's about, what used to be about families coming together.
Yeah.
And who my cousin married into, their family is huge.
Yeah.
And you might be sitting next to one of them and don't know that they.
Right.
Well, all I had to do was tell people, my cousin is the freaks.
Yeah.
My, you know what I'm saying? I'm kidding these people, and it's all okay. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody. Yeah.
I never had no dude. It was like literally one dude that I dated. that try to do the, like you said, the how a person put their hand around your neck, something like that. He didn't put his hand around my neck, but he so this what happened. I had a friend that I was in college for my associate degree. A white girlfriend of mine. She came over, she was Italian. And so we talking, we kicking it, we drinking, smoking, whatever. And this guy, he didn't even live with me. Little short, runt dude. Okay. And I'm short. I'm like 5'3". He's like a little shorter than me. Okay.
God dog.
Right. So
Golly.
straight Napoleon complex.
Wait.
Napoleon complex.
Wait. You got 6'6", 6'8" brothers and your tail 5'3". I know I'm
Yeah, because my mom is short. I look like my mom.
I'm off topic.
I look like
And
my
then
mom.
he come in
My,
shorter than you.
my dad was 6'3", so all the men is the only one that's taller. My sister that's 9 years older than me, she's like 5'8". She got that height. But yeah, I took after my mom. But so I was dating this guy. He's a little short dude. And I say that because I feel like it's the Napoleon complex.
Yeah.
You gotta assert yourself because you so little. And
Right.
the white girl come over, and she was a kind of tall white girl. And we hanging out. She was cool, you know what I'm saying? Her family was like, I feel like they was part of like the mob or something, but I don't know. You know, it's different stuff she would say, like, like your people involved with some other stuff. She was real cool.
Right.
Then, and so he didn't live with me, but he was over there. So he's kiki kin with us or whatever. And this was, I was what, 20, early 20s. So the girl leave and we in the kitchen. I forgot what I was doing, washing dishes, something like that. And he come in the kitchen and he was like, don't bring that white girl over here no more. And he tapped me in my face like this. Like, how somebody walk up to you to do like that?
Yeah.
And I said, now, of course, I'm in the kitchen. Okay. I got brothers, my dad. I knew how to like protect myself. You know what I'm saying? I could fight, you know. But first thing I thought was, we in the kitchen, it was by the sink, my knife set, the block that got all your knives in it was there. And that was the first thing I thought to, like, I could grab his knife and slit your throat.
Right.
At the time, I was in college, working, you know what I'm saying? My son was, small. I think my son was like maybe like, I don't know, 3 or something, you know what I'm saying? It was like, if I had this thought, I don't need to be with you. I don't need to be you. I don't need to be dealing with you because I don't tolerate this. You know what I'm saying? I tolerate getting hit in my mouth by my mama. I'm not gonna tolerate it by no dude. You know what I'm saying? Not for real. So when he did that, I said, "Oh yes, you need to just go." Like we don't. It didn't turn into no scuffle. It didn't turn into no shouting match. It didn't turn into nothing. It was, you need to, very calmly. You need to go. And he, what you mean? Like, why? You need to go because you almost lost your life, right? Like, said, and that was it. And he left. Again, like I said, he didn't have no key. He didn't live with me or anything like that. He was over there, and he probably stopped my house for maybe some weeks after that. Like he would pop up and be bamming on the door or whatever. And I looked through the peephole, and there's some short dude jumping up and down, or whatever, trying to, you know what I'm saying?
It's the jumping up and down part. Like, sir, who you think gonna open the door for you and you can't even
too short to, but yeah. But I mean, I can't make this up. I wish the jokes write themselves, okay? But yeah, that's the only time I've been in a situation where someone's trying to like physically seem like they were gonna try to physically harm me. Most of the men I've been with have been much taller than me. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a short girl, so I mean, I've had a boyfriend that was like 6'11". I had a boyfriend that was like 6'7", uh,
Mm-hmm.
6'6", like different heights, 6'3", whatever. I've never had nobody even, you know what I'm saying, even act like they gon' put their hands on.
Yeah.
Verbal abuse, yes, we get into that, but yeah, no, verbal abuse, and then like, what is it when somebody treats you a certain kind of way that's abusive? That's getting into narcissism.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean though. Treat you a certain kind of way. Controlling.
Control, being dismissive of your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
putting you in a position where you have to do things that are strenuous for your body and you're a pregnant woman and they refuse to help you.
Yeah, it's like emotional and mental
Abuse. Okay.
abuse.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on the fact that he had the audacity to tell you not to have nobody at your house. Like, who you think you is?
Don't have that white girl over here. I'll never forget that. I'm like, sir, excuse me, what? But yeah, that's how that situation went. But
Okay,
other than that, no, thank goodness I have not had anybody. Um,
physically.
yeah.
But no, let's get into the mental, the emotional, and the controlling because these are really important topics
Mhm.
and situations. I went through it all. You know, any kind of abuse, I experienced it. Yeah. And so with the emotional and the mental abuse, it was physically exhausting.
Mm,
When there was no hitting or putting the hands on, like having to try to hold on to your sanity
mm,
when someone is intentionally trying to drive you crazy became physically exhausting for me.
wow.
And so the conversation that I want to have with you, because abuse comes, like I said, in every color, right? It's you can paint the rainbow with it. It's important that we have this conversation because one thing that I'm learning through these conversations is a lot of time people want to compare, trauma, and that's not what we're going to do. Like trauma is trauma,
Mm,
you know? If you get shot, if you get stabbed, your body experiences trauma.
yeah.
And so through these relationships that you've experienced, you've got mental abuse, you've got control that you're trying to deal with, you've got somebody's trying to strip away who you are, it sounds like, to either make you who they want you to be or just for the sheer fact of that's what they get joy and pleasure out of doing.
Hmm.
And so I think it's important that you do share what you went through because somebody's going to be out there and be like, "Well, they never put their hands on me, so it couldn't have been, it ain't bad." No, it's like you said, as a child, when you're supposed to be able to have this safe space with the person that's raising you and you're being told be seen, not heard, then you grow up and you find yourself in a relationship where, in so many words, you're being told be seen, not heard, and sometimes I don't even want to see you type stuff. It's still abuse.
Yeah, it is.
It's still abuse. So you have a son. He's now 3 or 4. Like, when do you start dating again after you have him? And what are those relationships? I mean, you let us in a little bit, but what do they look like? And how did you recognize that it wasn't unhealthy? That it was unhealthy?
Um, well, all right. I want to make sure that I put this in there. My son's dad was never abusive in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. We were just young and
Mm,
um didn't didn't know what we were doing.
yeah.
Um, we were in a long distance relationship and I ended up getting pregnant, and we had talked about getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And it never materialized. We was 19.
Yeah.
Um, he went to the military, went to the Navy Reserves, and I was still in school. Excuse me, I was still in college. And because I was determined to finish, even though I, had my son.
Right.
Took a little time off to have him, but I was, right back down um after having him. And, we remained, cool, it was difficult, you know what I'm saying? But I just want to say that he's never,
Yeah.
um, of course, there's a source of pain. It was a source of pain not being chosen or feeling like I was chosen by that person that I had my first child with.
Right.
Um, but part of that was I would say part of that is my fault, part of that was his fault. The events that happened, after having my son, being in a long distance relationship, seeking attention from other people because of what I was receiving from him,
Right.
caused me to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he was cheating too,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. He's maintained his innocence all these years, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we both was doing whatever we were doing. And then when that, kind of came out, it was, we were both, we hurt each other. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, because now we're friends. He's married now, whatever went on with his life. But we had a conversation some years back. And I asked him, had he ever forgiven me as I have forgiven him? And he was like, yeah, he said, I forgave you for whatever long time ago. And moved past it. He was like, but I looking back, he was like, I feel like if we had been a little older,
Mm-hmm.
we could have probably might would have still been together. Like we would
Yeah.
have been able to handle the situation in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like we were like terrible for each other or anything like that. But after me and his dad split up for years, I was still single, footloose, fancy free.
Yeah.
My son was young, and I had a lot of help, from my side of the family, and then his dad's side of the family. Um, of course, before my son started school, he was always gone because long distance. So it wasn't that long distance. I was in Illinois, they was in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
My son would be gone all summer long. Like if you didn't know me,
Mm.
you wouldn't have knew I had a kid,
Right.
because I was outside, right?
Come on now.
I was outside and I was going to college, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was doing my thing. So I didn't really have no need for like a relationship. And I was dating a guy that he was trying to be in a relationship with me, and I'm like, whatever. Like I didn't take nobody serious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it probably was, I didn't want to possibly have another kid. I didn't want because I was on birth control and stuff, and I didn't want to change my life. I was free. I was doing
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. And then when my son was like 7 or so, I met my daughter's dad. Um, and that is, I would say, the first uh I would say, yeah, I would say that's the first abusive relationship I ever was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Previous relationships, like the guy I cheated on my son dad with, I have been back off and on with him in high school for years, you
Mm-hmm.
know um it never any sort of type of abuse. And I mean, when I say the most streetest of street dudes, but treated me like
Yeah.
delicate flower, you know what I'm saying? All of the things, cook for me, everything, you know what I'm saying? What you need or whatever. So I never experienced nobody just treating me bad,
Yeah.
outside of men being like a man cheating, a man having another girlfriend or whatever. That was like an expected thing.
Mm.
Like it just was what it was. But as
Mm,
far
mm,
as
mm.
like mistreatment, like direct or
Yeah.
putting you, that just wasn't then it like happened. So I met my daughter's dad, and everything seemed cool. I met him because I was like doing his hair. And he was like really like smitten. He was always, like trying to be around me or whatever. And we were dealing with each other for about a year. Um, and then his kid's mother moved away, to
Hmm.
Arizona. And I noticed that he became really mean. I
Mm.
that he became like really like shut down and closed off and stuff like that. And he's like he changed. And I was trying to get that happier person back.
Right.
And I said, well, let's try for a baby, because
Mm.
I equated his happiness with you being a dad to these kids. So
Yeah.
she took your kids away. She didn't give him no address. She didn't know nothing. Like, just
Wait, so she just vanished, like gone.
now he knew that she was going to be moving, but she wasn't giving no information.
He couldn't see his children.
And he couldn't see them. So he was like devastated. So I'm like, well, let's see, let's try to have our own baby. Now the me now will be like slapping the me back then. Okay.
Yes.
But it is what it is.
Lord, them thoughts. I ain't gonna lie. Like I with my one of my exes, my first husband, I had that like we weren't in a good space, and I had that thing too. It's like, well, maybe, and it wasn't for him though. It's kind of for me. Like maybe if we have a baby, which I'm glad we didn't. Nothing against him, but I'm glad we didn't. But I was like, maybe I had the thought if we have a baby, things will be different. I don't know who listening. Them babies don't make things different.
Anything it can end up making it worse.
Oh my God.
Okay. Or or maybe instead of making it worse, it makes it more complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you done brought a whole nother life into this world that has to experience whatever you was experiencing, and they gonna get worse than what you got because now they gotta deal with two people who ain't put together. Woo!
Exactly.
Don't do it. If you
Exactly.
having that thought, a baby is not gonna make it better. Just go away.
Like
Lord Jesus. Mm.
they need a baby in order for them to be, happy, in order for them to be their own self or whatever. Um, and I thought that I was doing the right thing. So I have been on birth control for years.
Hmm.
Hadn't gotten, pregnant, by anybody. And man, when I say I was doing me, I was doing me for
He said,
years.
I'm outside. You hear me?
God,
Capital O-U-T, capital S-I-D-E.
I lost count, okay? Lost count.
Oh
Well,
Lord, Christine
ain't
said,
God
run it
good?
up.
Ain't God good at person to do every morning, okay? So,
He said, keep my tab open.
right. So, but I had my daughter, but prior to me having her, I remember being like 6 months. And he was working at this like warehouse, and he was working at this warehouse in, I think it was Belvedere, Belvedere, Illinois, and he didn't have a car. We were sharing a car, and we were supposed to be moving to a bigger apartment, a bigger like a townhouse. And I had scatter site uh housing, and I had ended up getting approved for Section 8 while I was pregnant. Okay, cool. I was working. By that time, I had a bachelor's degree. I finished my bachelor's in 2010. Um, so let's see. This would have been, yeah, because my daughter was born 2012. So yeah. Um, Maybe around the time that me and him like kind of got together. It was when I finished my bachelor's, but like not like after that. Okay, so I was working for like a call center. And he was working at the warehouse, and I was supposed to pick him up from work. Was in the middle of moving. So I had hired some movers, our neighbors or whatever, paid them to help us, move and stuff. Um, they had gotten most of the stuff out of the house or whatever, but not everything. And they ended up taking a break. They had been, helping get stuff out like most of the day. They was tired. They wanted to take a break. They would have had to take a break anyway because I had to go pick him up from work. So I'm thinking, pick him up from work, come back, we're gonna continue. Um, by this time, uh my mom and my uncle had came by to like, my uncle was gonna, help finish helping. And I still had some stuff that I was like boxing up or whatever, and granted, I knew I was supposed to move prior to this, but I'm like 6 months pregnant. So, like I had maybe a closet or two to clear out, Um, not a big closet, but like a closet. And I think everything was moved over to the house, except for the bed wasn't moved over to the house. There was a couple other things that wasn't moved over there yet. Okay. Um, I think they had moved like the living room set and some different shit. Um, I have been over to the house to clean, you know what I'm saying? How you clean the apartment before you move your stuff in. I did all that earlier. My pregnant self, cleaning products, I shouldn't have been doing that neither.
Right.
But you later on learn, like, So I'm doing all these things while he at work. And
Right.
went to go get him. And on the way home, you know, he's like, kind of like standoffish. And I think he asked me like, well, how far we had got or whatever, and I was letting him know like we wasn't done yet. And he like, well, I don't know what you expect me to do. I'm tired. I just got off of work. Da, 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 da. I'm like, do you not see this baby in here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired too. You know what I'm saying? But like you're a man. Like you supposed to be. So we get back to the house. He literally sat down. It was like a tree that had been cut down in the yard of my duplex. And he really literally sat down on the tree stump and was like, I'm not doing nothing. And me with my like, I'm a push through attitude, I was just like, whatever, we don't need your help. I'm just gonna keep going. And I'm surprised I didn't start having contractions or something. The way
Yeah.
I kept like moving or whatever. And so my uncle and my mom had showed up, and my uncle like niece, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And so he was older. My uncle he's like 69 now. So at the time he was, like pushing 60. So he didn't want to like get into it with my
Yeah.
daughter dad because he like want to fight. Like I might not win. You know what I'm saying? So he like,
Right.
I'm gonna just help you get this stuff out the house. Like we ain't even talking to him no more. Just if he want to sit there, whatever. Um, but looking back at that situation, that was a form of like abuse. I feel like to like put that on me to do. It's like I said, I hired the movers. I
Yeah.
paid them. You didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? You here because I'll got housing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you was working, you know what I'm saying? But this ain't your name not even on this. You know what I'm saying? You here because your child is in my stomach, you know what I'm saying? And I'm dumb enough to be with you and you ain't got the means to we're not moving in your house. You know what I'm saying? You moving into, you feel me? So that's kind of where it was at. Um, and then um when it was time to like go or whatever, um, he went to his mom,
Mm-hmm.
my son, and this is where I really like looking back. I said I really like I had to learn to forgive myself for a lot of stupid shit that I did.
Yeah.
I went with him. I went with him to his mom because our beds and stuff wasn't over there yet. Went
Okay.
with his mom's, but I really should have went with my mom and my uncle.
Yeah.
But my uncle was there because my dad had passed, right? And my uncle had moved with my mom to like help her with men stuff. Like my mom not
Yeah.
much grass like that. So he
Mm-hmm.
moved from St. Louis and was living with my mom. So I could just went to my mom's. Like my mama had a 4-bedroom house. Like I could just went and slept in my old room
Yeah.
on a couch or whatever. You know what I'm saying? My son went over there and I left my son with my mama.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to go follow this man that I
Mm-hmm.
got because I got his baby in me. Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just the dumbest. Um, and I'm scared to ask my son that he remember that because he's 21 now
Yeah.
and we have really candid conversations. And,
Yeah.
I've asked him, how he feels about me for different things I did or didn't do. And, he said, like, Ma, I forgive you for whatever it is that, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I understand you was doing the best you could, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? My childhood really wasn't that terrible, you know what I'm saying? So like chill out, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
okay. But I would like to ask him, like, do you remember that day? You know what I'm saying? But I don't necessarily want to bring up anything
Right.
unpleasant, you know what I'm saying? I would
Mm-hmm.
prefer for him to bring that up to me and for me to just be open to, I apologize for being,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Stupid.
saying, stupid and, thinking I was in love or whatever. And I'm my man, dumb. You know what I'm saying? For somebody who didn't even care about
At all.
me and didn't care about you. You know what
At
I'm
all.
saying? Couldn't have. Um, and then after I had my daughter, I went through postpartum really heavy because
Mm-hmm.
now I got this baby and
Yeah.
now I realize that I'm with the devil,
Mm.
and I'm stuck. And he said something one day. He was like, do you feel like you're trapped? And I was like, yeah, sometimes I do. And he like kind of chuckled. If that ain't evil, I don't know what the hell is.
Let me tell you something.
Very evil.
They don't ask those types of questions as if they don't already know the answer. It's almost like, I want you to feel this way. I'm
Mhm.
just seeing if you're going to be honest about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand. Well, I do, because they have trauma, whatever they've experienced, that they haven't healed from, which is why they mistreat women.
Yeah.
But it just blows my mind for you to have the expectation, because you were working, right? You're working, you just graduated, you're pregnant, this your place. Then they be, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had, and the guys don't even have their own place. But they have this presence and this energy and this thing about them. And then we have our insecurities and our stupidity of putting them first. Like, we have this
Naivety. Definitely naivety.
naivety and this preconceived notion that we got to be ride or die,
Yeah.
even for somebody who don't deserve it. So they ain't got their own place, but then we give them the space to dictate ours.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to have like the sense to think it's okay for you to be pregnant, for you just because you worked, like not you coming home and being like, wow, thank you for hiring somebody to help you when I expected you to do this. How much did you expect to get done if I didn't hire nobody to help? Like, what was gonna be at then?
That part. And he knew I was hiring some people to help, but I guess he assumed that,
It
oh,
was gonna be done.
yeah, like he was gonna get off of work and you know, poof, we just in the new townhouse
Because
with, you know,
they want to be treated like kings. That's what it is. You want to be treated like a king,
but you a
but
pauper.
you don't want to, you're a pauper, and you don't want an equal beside you. You just want everybody to be your peasants.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that he was dealing with that he was not dealing with was the fact that he had a relationship with his kids and now all of a sudden that's snatched away.
Mm-hmm.
And because he doesn't have healthy communication skills, instead of seeking the help he needs to work through what's happening and figure out a way to manage himself, he takes it out on you. Thank God it wasn't physical, but he
Yeah.
takes it out on you. And now here you are looking boo boo the fool. Because I bet if you didn't go stay with him and his mom, that was going to be a whole nother situation you was going to have to deal with, even though it was your house that y'all was moving into.
Yeah. If looking back, I don't know if it would have been a big deal because I was dealing with someone who did not care about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I cared more. This one, and I that relationship helped me understand what my grandmother used to say. You want them, let the man be in love. My mama say this too. Let the man be in love with you first.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for you to start loving him later, but let him be liking you, loving you all. Let him be smitten. Let him be, oh my God, woo, 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 first, and then show you that through his actions, not
Mm-hmm.
just him telling you that
Right.
before you allow yourself to go off on that deep end,
Blessed assurance.
because it's like they get to puffing their chest out like she want me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
child.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And they will treat you like the boo on the floor,
Yeah.
the shoe, because oh, she like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's real. Now granted, when he first met me, uh,
Mm-hmm. Of
he was, acting all smitten,
course.
calling me constantly, blah, 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 blah. And oh, giving me all these accolades. Oh, you so this, you so that.
Yep.
But it still was it, you so this, you so that, not I feel this about you.
Yeah.
More of you know, like the song The Buttercup Baby, you build me up,
Mm-hmm.
Buttercup.
Buttercup baby, just to let me down. Don't make me, I will sing the whole song.
Yeah. Somebody build you up with them little pretty words, but they really not saying nothing.
Golly.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. So
Dang, I ain't never listen. I used to walk around on the playground singing that song, and you done brought it back, and like I now I'm listening to the lyrics. God,
you build me up to just to
dang.
and that's real, you know what I'm saying? So that I would say that was rough. And after I had her,
Mm-hmm.
after postpartum, I would cry all the time and stuff because I realized like remember I was just footloose and fancy free.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
my kids 8 years apart. My son is 21, my daughter about to be 13.
Yeah.
So and I imagine sometimes now at 40, sometimes I look back like, man, if I would just listen to my mama, I would be an empty nester right now.
Out.
But I love my daughter, you know what I'm
You
saying?
do.
I'm glad that I had a girl. I'm glad that I had a girl, and I'm glad that I had this girl because she's
Blessed.
my thing. She's so unique. Like she is basically a lot like me.
Yeah.
She's the meets and masters kid. She is smarter than I ever was.
Wow.
She's going to go on and do where I got an MBA. She gonna get her doctorate because
Doctorates.
she wants to be an orthodontist.
Come on.
She's gonna make triple what I make. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
gonna be so straight. You know what I'm saying? And I just see all of these wonderful things for her. And
Yeah.
because of the fact that I've learned what I've learned from different things I've experienced, and I'm able to parent her
Come
differently.
on.
And even when I fall short by, snapping on her for something or reverting back to what we knew, which is being ready to pop you upside your head, I have to recoil and be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? And it's making me a better person,
Person.
a better whatever. And I got to confront everything that I might have ever thought that I didn't have to confront.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, like looking back even at how I raised my son, you know what I'm saying? It's things that I deal with raising my son that I would never do now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And things that I've had to apologize to him for that he's like, Mom, I understand, I get it, whatever. But nah, man, that wasn't cool. I would never,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That type of exercise in your control and your dominance as a parent because you can and all that like I try so hard to not do that and allow and my cousin, I hate when people that don't have no kids try to tell you how to raise your kids. And they still thinking in that mindset of, oh, they stuff, you need to do such and such. Hold on. You don't have no kid. And even if you did, raise them how you want to. I got,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? If she getting jazzy, getting flippant or whatever, I know how to handle that. I know how to
Yeah.
talk to her. I know how to whatever. I don't have to because what is that going to do? Every kid don't well, just as a good whooping to do. Every kid don't do well with that.
Right.
I learned when she was very small that whooping her or popping her, she shut down.
Yeah.
Now she look at you like she ready to find something to kill you with. You know what I'm saying? She looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? She's
Yeah.
angry. And that anger could turn into other things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how about me take a step back and talk to her? How about me take a step back and, instead of this, let's discuss your punishment for whatever that
Yeah.
transpired. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, but and it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying, that her her dad is how he is or whatever. But I never try to take away from their relationship.
Mhm.
Um, or what kind of, dad he was for her. What's crazy is he never was a bad father. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Very doting, very much my baby, my baby, my baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think though, as his woman, it hurt me to see that, and it didn't make me jealous of my child. It made me like, you love this baby that came out of me. Why you can't show me that tenderness? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't deserve that. You know. And so I remember after I had her, I was, sitting in the hospital, in the what you call it, in the doctor office crying,
Mhm.
and we were at the post the 6 weeks or whatever
Yeah. Check up. Mhm.
post op and checkup because I had a C-section with her too, and
Mhm.
I don't know, I just start crying out of nowhere, and he said, man, whatever it is, like why you crying? I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, like I'm just sad. And he was like, whatever this is you going through, you're gonna have to go through that by yourself because you knew what you was getting into. Ain't nobody tell you to get off of that birth control. You did
Wait.
that on your own. I didn't make you get off of that birth control. You came to me, you decided that you wanted us to have a baby. So, like basically, it was crazy. Like, why I'm in my feelings because my whole life has just changed. I now went from being a mom of one that is able to kind of do what she need to do, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm gonna be a mom of two and everything has changed. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Fresh baby versus a 8-year-old is different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Different.
saying? And and then it's like I'm with somebody who, look how I feel when I'm with, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He didn't care nothing about that. He was like, you gonna have to go through that by yourself. And he was like, I'm gone from it. I ain't got, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this person, like, I could count on one hand the times we went on a date while we was together. His
Mm.
idea of a date was, we going down the street to McDonald's, like, you know what I'm saying? Like real basic. And what's funny is when I finally left him, um, he was trying to get me back. Do you know he had a new girlfriend who he, or whatever she was at the time to him, who he now has several more children, but I think they have 4 kids together.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still not, like a couple now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, very, very toxic,
Yeah.
toxic relationship that they went on to have, and the extra kids and stuff, whatever. But he was dealing with her, and I don't know if she was already pregnant with their first one at the time. I don't know. May have been, and he was like making sure to take me to lunch once a week. Because remember, I said while we was together, he wouldn't take me on dates and stuff.
Right.
Big for that. It never happened. We split up. Now you want to start trying to do all the things that you think this is going to get me back. So I was, and at this time I was in cosmetology school. Because even though I had my bachelor's, I'm like, I want my cosmetology license. So I went back for that when she was like 1.
Mm-hmm.
I had got a nanny. A friend of mine was like a living nanny so that I could go to school full time and stuff. So I had my village, I had my stuff together. His mama told me to leave him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? His mama like, that girl, you don't need, my son is terrible for you. You great girl, da 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 da. All of this. So his mom would be staying with us sometime, because she stayed with us like when my daughter was a baby. And then he was trying to put his mama out. Like, how you can't put her out of my house.
Right.
You know,
Out of my
you,
house.
you gonna have to go, but she could stay.
Yeah.
He had all the help in the world, thank God. Um,
Amen.
and he ended up getting his own apartment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I would bring my daughter to him on the weekends and stuff, and I would be, outside again. And got my freedom and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so for cosmetology school, we were off on Sundays and Mondays, like most shops are closed Sundays and Mondays.
Yeah.
And every Monday, without fail, he would want to take me to lunch or dinner or something like that.
Mm.
Let him take me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like how my mom and my dad was not together no more, and they were still like friends. I
Yeah.
was allowing him to try to be my friend, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't no further than that. And she found out that he was still trying to date me and stuff, and she just hated my guts,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so a whole bunch of mess ensued behind that. But it's just so funny how a person will mistreat you and
Yeah.
think that they can, throw you a couple, bones, and it's gonna like all is well, absolve. And I think a lot of times though, like, and I just thought about this, I think maybe he was doing that to absolve his own guilt
Mm-hmm.
for how he treated me. I really
Maybe so.
I really think so. That could have been part of that, in addition to the let me see if this is gonna get me back in
Yeah.
graces type of thing. But I would say that relationship is where I experience, a person kind of withholding from you. You say
Yeah.
you go on a date, or, well, why don't we do this? You always want something.
Yeah.
Trying to diminish your desire for things. Kind of like a kid. If
Yeah.
you telling the kid no, no,
Oh
they
my
won't stop
gosh.
asking. They're gonna
Liz,
stop,
Christine,
you know.
I had a conversation with my ex-husband when we were married. And I didn't, you just said it. I wouldn't ask him for much because I got tired of hearing no, right? And
Mhm.
so I remember one time I asked him for something, you just asked me because I asked you for something. I said, no, you don't ever ask me for nothing. I said, because you always tell me no. Like, I don't ask because I get tired of being told no. And it's a conditioning thing, just like the taking you out every Monday because you off now. It's all a play. Because if you were to fall into the trap and go back to him, he wasn't going to treat you no better. All of
Yep.
that stuff was going to stop. And it was going to be like, well, now I'm back comfortable with having somebody to, it's like they want somebody to ignore.
Yes. Yes.
Like I need somebody that's going to give me attention because they need attention because they're insecure. But I need somebody who's going to give me attention and isn't going to expect anything else
And
from me. Because even when we have the expectations from them, we really don't because we expect to get what we continue to get, honestly. And we throw stuff out there hoping that it'll be different. But if it's not, well, this is what I expected.
yeah,
And it all boils down to us valuing ourselves and loving ourselves and understanding that we don't have to settle for someone else's foolishness.
we do not.
Like there's no reason that you can't love me the way you can't love me the way I want to be loved and I can't love you the way you want to be loved. If we can't do that for each other, then we don't need to be with each other.
That part. Yeah.
God
Yeah.
dog it.
That's the pinnacle of the unequally yoked. Never mind the finance part, or never mind where did your family come? It's just, can we even be happy together? Can we,
Right.
do you like me enough to want to do things for me to
For
see me
me.
happy?
To see me happy.
Yeah.
Serve me.
Yeah. And speaking of serve, um, so after that situation, after that relationship, I didn't get into a serious relationship for a while, some years after that. And when my daughter was about 5,
Mm-hmm.
I met the guy that I came here with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we are not together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he ended up being, what's the word? A cheater.
Mm-hmm.
But and I knew, like, women intuition,
It's there.
never mind intuition. I had somebody, I didn't have a direct, hey Barbara, this is Shirley situation, but it definitely was close.
Somebody missed that one.
Someone contacted me
Barbara.
regarding something that he did and said and whatever. So I had there were like the indirect Barbara Shirley.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, he's been calling my cousin, or oh, I heard, did you see him with this? So I was at such and such, and he was with this person, and touch
God dog it.
thing. And so, but because that was something that was behind closed doors,
Mm-hmm.
but in the public eye, whether it was, him coming to the shop to see me, or us being out together, because Rockford, Illinois is not it's the second largest city in Illinois, but the Black population, it's like how people talk about Hollywood. Like,
Yeah.
everybody know each other because it's a small amount of people in this group.
Yeah.
So the Black people in Rockford, like, everybody know each other. You know what I'm saying? So whether it was us being at different events together, or me going to his family like events and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and being the woman on his arm, and us and all our kids being together. He has like 10 kids, 7 biological kids, 10 total, like there's a few extra kids that call him dad. And then my 2. So altogether we had 12 kids. And so sometimes
Yeah.
with a lot of our kids and stuff, like straight up like Brady Bunch, like Partridge Family type thing. I remember one time we had two cars. Did we do two or three cars? No, we did two cars. Um, or was it three? It was either two or three cars. He was in one vehicle and my mom helped bring kids in another vehicle so we could all go to the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Still wasn't all of the kids. It was still a couple kids missing, right? That's how many kids we had together. I had a blast. Like always doing stuff together.
Yeah.
Get all the kids together. Let's go to the park. One day, I remember. I'll never forget. We had a girls' day. It was my daughter and his daughters, or most of his daughters. And we did pine cone art because I had these like evergreen trees in the back of the apartment complex I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went outside and collected pine cones. And I'm one of those people that I'm an artist. I do a bunch of different stuff. So um I had like canvases and stuff and paint. I keep that type of stuff in the house. So we was like, well, okay, let's go collect pine cones
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna dip them in the paint and decorate them, and paint the canvas with these pine cones.
Yeah.
And the littlest one, I think at the time she was like two, and maybe the oldest was maybe it's like seven or something, you know what I'm saying? So we did that like I don't know, probably all day. And everybody
Mm-hmm.
had like they canvas and stuff, and we were sitting out on the floor, and paint everywhere, all on the baby and stuff. And then we let the pine cones dry, and we kept the pine cones, and they were in like a little bowl, like kind of like
Oh,
so we
centerpiece. Yeah.
like a centerpiece and stuff. Like we did stuff like that. Like I treated his kids like they was my kids. He treated, you know what I'm saying? And that never, changed or anything. So it's like I accepted
Mm.
infidelity. I accepted this man being, polyamorous on another level because of the fact that he was the type of man that would cook for the whole house and bring me my plate, the type of man that when I had how did I sprain I did something where I think I slipped, fell something, sprained my ankle.
You and
um
them ankles.
I really did sprain. Okay. I forgot how I did it, but I probably slipped on some ice or something like that, sprained my ankle. um or no, I didn't slip on nothing. I think I stepped wrong or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I hurt myself and I couldn't stand up to do hair. Um,
Yeah.
and by this time, I, had been finished, cosmetology school, even became an instructor. I had, a crazy amount of clientele, had my own suite and stuff like that when I met this man.
Mm-hmm.
And so um I couldn't like I was gonna try to still go. I was gonna like ace bandage it up. My mom
Yeah.
used to do, since she was a nurse, how to do the ace bandage, what I'm saying? I was gonna do all of that and still was gonna try to go to the shop. He said, you're not going nowhere. You gonna call them, tell them you ain't he was like, I will get on there and let them know you're not coming. And when I say waited on me hand and foot, helped me get in the shower. I still remember he was helping me get in the shower and he said, this must be what CNAs feel like. And we cracked up.
Yeah.
Like we still talk about those things. We still
Yeah.
to this day. But I'm saying like I hadn't been loved like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so I allowed other things and
Yes.
overlooked, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, okay, if he dealing with you, okay, well, he just got done uh putting all my kids' beds together and cooking and you know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
he just got off work and he brought me, this or so And I think that's probably why we are still cool now, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's not like this is a person that I want to go back to situation.
Right. Right.
My daughter kind of, I feel like she thinks that we should get back together or be together or whatever because that's like her stepdad.
Of
You
course.
know? We were in Rockford for, a couple years, and then he had family here, so we moved here. We was together,
Yeah.
here for a couple years, and then it didn't work out, and we ain't been together in almost 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it took a while to get past that relationship
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, so it's kind of like you taking bits and pieces from this is how I want to be treated, minus,
Hmm. Yeah.
minus the bullshit. This is plus some more money because man ain't got that much money when he got that many kids. It's
Child.
impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Child. But he's taking care of them, though.
I mean, he was contributing as much as he could. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I feel like that was probably a relationship where I didn't feel like it was abusive at all
Hmm.
because of what I got. Near the end, only we had words like arguments that turned into um yelling. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? When you're frustrated with somebody or whatever, and vice versa. Um, and I refused to allow it to turn into a verbally abusive situation.
That's
And I
good.
told him, I said, I don't care how much I love you, I'm not gonna let you talk to me in
Yeah.
a way you can step. You know,
That
I,
part.
I gotta protect me, and I can't allow my daughter
Hmm.
hear these kind of conversations happen over and over again, where she then starts to think that this is something that she should accept. And then she
Correct.
care about you, and she's associating that, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
her dad is not here. Again, he's not a terrible dude, but I mean, he ain't came to see her. We
Right.
almost 5 years. He's never made not one trip. You know what I'm saying? So the man that she knows, she knows her biological dad, but she also
Yeah.
knows him. You know what I'm saying? As her stepdad. So like she'll tell people, I got two dads. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Um, and it's a weird dynamic, but it's like I don't want her to feel like certain things are okay or
Correct.
acceptable or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, is someone cheating? Is that also a form of abuse
Yeah.
in your trust?
Yes.
Okay.
Because first of all, it's complete disregard from your body, because it's not like he's cheating and then coming home and y'all not having sex. Then you got to trust that he's cheating and being protected every time he do it. So you don't know what he's exposing himself to and then gonna come back home and expose you to,
Yeah.
right? But not only that, it's unhealthy, it's toxic, it's abusive in a way of like you how you think you can be all of these things for me, and because you're being all these things for me, that gives you a pass to be out here in these streets.
Exactly.
Like if we have agreed to be in relationship with one another, there's nothing outside of us that you should think it's okay to indulge yourself in. You know, like you that's like, this is an extreme example, but
Mhm.
that's like us being in a relationship and then I go out and I decide to get on drugs, but I don't do drugs around you.
Right.
I don't bring them in the house because I respect you enough not to do them around you and bring them in the house. But I
Right.
know that me doing this, even just to my body, is changing my mindset, it's changing me physically, it's changing me emotionally. And now I'm not only taking that to me, I'm bringing this energy in our house.
Right.
So if I'm out here with all these other women, y- you know, like sex isn't just sex, it's a spiritual connection, it's a soul tie. So now you bringing all of this energy from somebody else into our space.
Yeah.
And whether I see it physically or witness or acknowledge it directly, it's shifting me.
Yeah.
Like how are you feeling emotionally when you hear these things? You as a woman, like you said, intuition or even knowing but not knowing, like, because you don't know for sure, but you know. How does that make you feel emotionally knowing that he's continuing to do this? That's emotional abuse right there from the sheer fact of I'm not taking care of you in a certain way that I'm supposed to,
So that is a big, okay.
because I'm putting whatever this need is or this addiction is that I have, I'm putting it before you. You don't know who he could be messing with, who got themselves a dude that ain't about to play that.
Right.
And then they come over in your house because this man is in his house messing with his woman. Like,
Right.
it's neglect, and if you have a child and you neglect the child, CPS is getting called.
Right.
But we think for some reason, because we're adults, people can be neglected and it's okay.
Mm.
And so the thing I'm taking from this conversation, and I would hope other people can see or take from this conversation, is so much is being said when you're saying what you're saying, is that we have to have standards. Like, we have to understand our value and our worth, to know that, like, you putting up with it because you've never been loved like this. Let's say treated. You've never been treated like this before. And
Right.
because we compare one thing to a bad thing, it doesn't make it the best thing for us.
Right.
Right? Like, at the end of the day, it's still apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Yes, I've never experienced this before, but I don't deserve you to step out whenever you want to and go be with whoever you want to, if we've agreed that we have a relationship.
Right.
If I said it was okay, that's a whole different thing, because I agreed for you to be out there and me to be out there. That's a different conversation. But I didn't agree to that. I didn't sign up for that. This is not part of our contract. This is not part of our commitment. And when you default on a bank loan because you want to go buy a car, what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be out here buying some Jordans and you owe me money for this car note.
Exactly.
You're you're neglecting your responsibility.
Exactly.
And I hate that. I hate that for you, because, like, that's the type of minus that thing, that's the type of person you want to be with. That's
Right.
the type, like, you want somebody, a woman wants to be able to be soft. Like,
Right.
people question that. People like, well, you out here being hard and you tough and all, because ain't nobody's giving me the the space to be soft.
And
But
it made it hard to leave that situation
yes.
alone, because it's like I finally got, like, literally, when I moved here, I took a plane here.
Mm-hmm.
He drove all my stuff here and put it in the storage. And when it was time for my stuff to come out the storage, we went
He
over to
handled it.
the storage place. He had him and his brothers doing everything. And I had my styling chair on the truck. He pulled the styling chair off the truck, sat it on the concrete in the at the storage place, and told me to sit my pretty self down. He said, sit down. I just want you to sit over there and look pretty. You don't got to do nothing. Just tell
I
us where you want this and that. That type of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And what's crazy is he still treats me like that to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have, I would say not dated, because I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't call it a date, because I'm not looking at you like we gonna be anything.
Yeah.
We went out and many times since we've been split up, and a person would assume that we together,
Yeah.
because
Enjoying each other's company.
yeah, because he's still gonna put his arm around me. He's still
Yeah.
gonna hold my hand when we going through the crowd. in a
Yeah.
protective type of thing where he's like
Yes.
feeding me. He's still going to, be whatever over my kids. He's still going to ask about them. He's still going to,
Hmm.
you need something out the car or whatever,
Yeah.
or like it that's you know he
Yes.
he got a key because his my daughter's here, and that's like his stepdaughter. You know what I'm saying? If anything
Hmm.
happened, he's still her emergency contact. Like, and my therapist, when I still was going to therapy, she was like, at some point you're gonna have to let that go too,
Yeah.
because it could be preventing you from a new person.
Hmm.
Because even though you have made up your mind that you're not, you know what I'm saying, it's still like a psychological and spiritual connection
Yeah.
because of the fact that you and him are still tight. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Even though it ain't that's over with, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. Like I it took me a minute to, accept that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm about to buy a house next year. He not getting no key to my house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Will you be able to come by for her? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like I've gotten away from calling on him if I needed something. Like
Hmm.
the table I'm sitting at right now, he was supposed to have put it together for me. I stopped calling him to do it. I said, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not a put the stuff together girl, because for the longest, I didn't have to do that.
Right.
It was another man, my uncle, somebody, and then him
Yeah.
was doing stuff, putting stuff up, whatever. Or I would hire somebody else or whatever. I was like, let me, and it was kind of like a challenge,
Hmm.
see if I could do that.
Yeah.
Um, a couple of things I put together, whatever, without asking him. And then he come by like, oh, this is nice. You did, who did this? I did, this, oh,
Yeah.
but it's all the growth, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it might take some time, what I'm saying, for me to totally grow past that. But
It does.
I'm okay with that. You know what I'm definitely okay with that. I think after that relationship for a long time, I didn't want to start anything with a new person. Um, because I wanted to give myself full time,
Hmm.
like get that out of my system.
Yeah.
Get whatever that was out of my system. And so now it's like, okay, and then also, take time to really evaluate, and what did we learn from this?
Talk that part.
Yeah.
God.
What did we learn from this? What are we not going to allow next time? I date, of course, but now it's like I don't date somebody for months and then decide, no, I might have 2 3 dates with a person, and it's
And
like,
you
oh,
see.
next, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I couldn't tell you how many people I done dated since that relationship got over, really within the past like year, even though that relationship has been over for a few years.
Hmm.
Because like, okay, now I see, like,
Mm.
I'm not spending unnecessary time on anybody.
Standards.
Because yes, because of the standards and everything. And it's like if your conversation ain't right,
All of it.
talking to me a certain way,
All of it.
uh, if I notice any hints of anything that don't make sense,
Gone.
I'm just, it's somebody just trying to be my end all be all right now. And I told myself I'm not agreeing to anything until
Hmm.
for sure. You
Yeah.
you can feel, he done professed his love for me and everything. I said, oh, that's nice. Okay.
Oh God.
You can feel
That's
that way, you know.
this is you are the living, breathing example of growth. Like from what you've been through with your dad, your mom, your sister, your uncle, the Napoleon,
That was so crazy.
Like everything though, the beautiful thing is that each time you got serious, you learned from it and you set another standard. And it's like I see what I'm not going to accept anymore. And then you were able to experience a beautiful relationship with this guy to really see like, okay, I know the feeling I'm supposed to feel with
Right.
with what I'm supposed to be getting. And so now I have my standards and I'm not settling and I'm not wasting my time trying to see if you're going to change. I don't need to see if you're going to change. We grown. You are, who you show me
Yeah.
you are. And
Yep.
so I just hope somebody takes from this, like, just it's at the end of the day, we have to take accountability of what we allow happens to us. And we have to come to a place of understanding our value and setting our standards. Because the only thing that need to settle around here is the dust. And baby, we ain't in Arizona. So I don't know what y'all got going on. You hear me? Ain't no more settling in this piece.
That's
God
right.
dog it. Say it what it said.
You're not selling for anything. Not at
For
all.
nothing. For nothing. Christine, I'm glad we had this conversation because there's people out there that's thinking like you're thinking. Is like, well, it wasn't terrible,
Mhm.
but you're deserving of more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You deserve to be loved the way that you want to be loved, not the way somebody wants to love you or treat you the way they want to treat you, but the way you want to be treated.
That's true.
So thank you. Thank you for this. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I enjoyed myself too. This was a good conversation.
It's
And
so good.
I really hope that it is helpful to whomever young women or men
Yes,
that hear it, that they get something from it.
I believe it will be. I believe it will be. Y'all, y'all know what it is. I'm just thankful that we had this opportunity and this privilege again, Christine, to have this conversation and to hear your experience and your learned lessons because that's how we move the needle forward. Everything that you talked about today is about us growing as a generation so that we can be mature enough to have these conversations and transparent enough to have these conversations so our children don't have to experience, like experience that is the hardest teacher. It don't have to be the best teacher. You can learn from me. And that's what I want us to know. Like, let us have these conversations. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to say, if you don't do nothing else, keep showing up, keep sharing your love, keep shining your light. And y'all know in the meantime, in between time, we is gone.
So we need a soundboard.
Girl, I'm gonna get one of these days now.